Welcome back to Inglés 4.0, the radio show. Let's go! Intermediate. Intermediate. Yes, that's right. It is time for the intermediate portion of the class. Yeah, here we are in class 67. And we were talking about the verb to agree. Do you agree that it's important? Yes, I agree. I agree that it's important. We were practicing this structure with, and you might be thinking, Kyle, you've been talking about that for 3 classes, but you're right. We were practicing this structure because I hear mistakes with it all the time. To agree. But here, we were mixing it. In the last class, we were mixing it with this idea of too many. Too many. So I said, do you agree that there are too many cars in Madrid? Yes, I agree that there are too many cars in Madrid. Do you agree that there are too many different accents in English? Yes, I agree that there are too many different accents. Kyle, it's difficult because there are too many different accents. There are so many different accents in English. But there are so many different accents in Spanish as well. Yes. Do you agree that there are too many phrasal verbs in English? Yes, I agree that there are too many phrasal verbs in English. Do you agree that there are too many people in the city? Yes, I agree that there are too many people in the city. We also saw a few days ago too much. Do you agree that there is too much complicated grammar? Yes, I agree that there is too much complicated grammar. Yes. Now, we were starting to practice yesterday with the 60s, los años 60, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. Yes. So I remember the 80s. The 80s. I remember the 80s. I don't remember the 70s, but I remember the 80s. And I remember the 90s. I'm very fond of the 80s and the 90s and certain things, certain styles, certain trends, certain types of music. Yes. Did you win an Olympic medal in the 90s? No, I didn't win an Olympic medal in the 90s. An Olympic medal, we say. Yes, a medal. I didn't win a medal in the 90s. I didn't win a medal in the 80s, and I didn't win a medal in the 90s. And I haven't won a medal in this decade either. Did you deal with a lot of Chinese people in the 80s? Yes, I dealt with a lot of Chinese people in the 80s. Did scientists find a cure in the 70s? Yes, scientists found a cure in the 70s. Did you find your book in the 70s? Yes, I found my book in the 70s. Did you win the lottery in the 90s? Yes, I won the lottery in the 90s. Okay, give me an affirmative answer. Did you find a new recipe in the 60s? En voz alta. Yes, I found a new recipe in the 60s. Did you find a solution to your problem in the 90s? Okay, los años 60, los años 70, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. Did you find a solution to your problem in the 90s? Yes, I found a solution to my problem in the 90s. Now, we say the early 90s. The early 90s. So in the early 90s, I lived with my parents. In the mid-90s, I still lived with my parents. In the late 90s, I moved out. the late 90s. So the late 90s would be 97, 98, 99. The last few years, the late 90s. Yes. Madonna was popular in the early 80s. Well, she's still popular. She's been popular. She has been popular for 20 years, for more than 20 years, for 28 years, let's say. I think she started in 1981 in New York City, I think. I could be wrong. But she started in the early 80s. Yeah. Bruce Springsteen also, I think he became popular around a similar time, the early 80s. I don't think Bruce Springsteen was around in the late 70s. I could be wrong. I could try to look it up on the computer here, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure if Bruce Springsteen was around in the late 70s. The Beatles were popular. They were popular in the 60s. They became popular. The Beatles became popular in the Beatles became popular in the early 60s, but they actually broke up in the late 60s. I think the end of the 60s, or maybe 1970. But a lot of people think that the Beatles were going into the 70s, but they weren't. No, they weren't. The Beatles were not a band an active band in the 70s. They were just going. They broke up. I believe it was in 1969 or 1970. I'm trying to find this, but I'm gonna abandon it because I'm getting distracted here I'm on the computer trying to determine when Bruce Springsteen started to become popular. Maybe I'll tell you tomorrow. Maybe Nacho knows the answer. Nacho, do you know when Bruce Springsteen became popular?
I have no idea.
Nacho has no idea. I don't know. We need Drew. Drew would know the answer. Drew knows the answer, and he talks about these things on his program, Highways and Byways. He talks about music and the year, certain dates and things, and it's very interesting. But I don't know. But I think the early 80s. I don't think it was the late 70s. I think it was the early 80s. Anyhow, so we were practicing, and also with the verbs, some recent verbs that we had seen. The verb to win. Every day I win. Yesterday I won. The verb to find. Every day I find. Yesterday I found. And to deal. To deal with, tratar con. But simply to deal can be to distribute. Like in the casino, we have a dealer who deals cards. Yes, a dealer who deals cards. And yeah. To deal. Every day I deal. Yesterday I dealt. Okay? But anyhow, we're going to move on and take a look at our word of the day.
Word of the day.
Our word of the day today is locura, which in English is insanity. Insanity. Yes. Insanity. Locura. He is insane. Insanity. He is insane. Yes. So insanity is the noun, and the adjective is insane. To be insane. Yes. Okay, so now moving on here in class 67, we have another verb, which is the verb to beat. To beat. Vencer. To beat an opponent. Okay, because we were talking about the verb to win recently. Every day I win. Yesterday I won. But now we have the verb to beat. So I won the match and I beat. I won the match, but I beat my opponent. Okay? I beat my opponent. Yes. So we have here, yes, the verb to beat. So we have pelea. Cuando estás en una pelea, significa golpear o pegar, to beat someone in a fight. He beat me, he punched me, he hit me, he was beating me, yes. And then in a match, it's ganar a alguien, derrotar. I said vencer, but I suppose it's similar to beat an opponent in a match, to beat someone else, okay? Yes. My favorite hockey team, the Montreal Canadiens, they beat their opponent yesterday. They beat the team in New York. Montreal beat New York. Oh, not yesterday, a few days ago. They won the match, they won the game, and they beat their opponent. Yes. And then when we talk about your heart, we say a heartbeat. Palpitar. Beat, a heartbeat. So you can feel your heartbeat, your pulse, essentially, your heartbeat. If you put your fingers on your throat, you can feel your heartbeat. The beat, yes. Boom, 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 boom. The heartbeat. Beat, yes. So you can have some people have a fast heartbeat or a slow heartbeat, or if you have problems with your heart, maybe your heart skips a beat, which could be a problem. And when you get excited, your heartbeat accelerates. And when you're sleeping, your heartbeat slows down. Your heart rate, right? The heart rate, but the rate is the frequency of beats, heartbeats. Yes. Yes. And then we have, we have to beat your wings as well. Birds beat their wings. And the hummingbird is an amazing animal. It beats its wings very, very fast. It beats its wings so fast that it can hover. It's the only bird that can hover in the air without moving up or down, but it can stay in one position because it's beating its wings so fast and has so much control that it can completely control its location and its movement and its altitude based on the frequency of its beats. Okay, yes. So did Barcelona beat Real Madrid last year? Yes. Barcelona beat Real Madrid last year. This is terrible, but true. Did slave drivers beat their slaves? Yes, they did. Slave drivers, so the masters of the slaves. In the days of slavery, like in the southern United States, the slave drivers sometimes would beat their slaves. They would hit them, which was terrible. Now, have you ever seen a picture of a hummingbird beating its wings? Have you ever seen a picture of it? It's impressive. Or video. I've seen slow motion video. It's incredible. It really is. Yes. Now, so here we have is beats, wings, the wings of a bird, and the bird beating its wings. Yes. Okay. So now we can move on. I think it's time to move on for a little bit of vocabulary.
Vocabulary of the day.
Yes, it is time for the vocabulary of the day. Looking now at our 5 words of vocabulary, we have first, soplar, which is to blow. To blow, soplar. Llevar a cabo, to carry out. We have to carry out this procedure or a process to carry out, yes. Llegar de regreso, to get back. To get back, yes. I'm going to go, after this, I'm going to go to the washroom, but I have to get back before the advanced class. I have about 3 minutes to go to the washroom and then get back on time for the advanced class. Can I do it? Well, we'll see. We'll find out in about 3 minutes. Consumidor. Consumer. Inundación. Flood. Yes, like in Louisiana, the floods. The flood. Inundación, flood. O-O-F-L-O-O-D. Flood.
Translation.
Yes, it is time now for a little bit of translation. We're going to look at translation list 12, but we only have about a minute and a half. So I'm going to start this. We'll try a few, and then we're going to go to a commercial break. But we'll try maybe 3 or 4 of these. So the first one, no sabía que estabas detrás de mí. I didn't know you were behind me. I didn't know. I didn't know you were behind me. Number 2. ¿Qué ibas a decir? What were you going to say? What were you going to say? Number 3. Nunca lo he hecho. I've never done it. I've never done it. Nunca. I've never done it. Number 4. No me gustan los coches grandes. I don't like big cars. No, I don't like big cars. One more, number 5. Quiero que me escuches. I want you to listen to me. This is a very important structure. I want you to. All right? I want you to. Subject, want, direct object, to, infinitive. Listen to me. I want you to listen to me. I want you to listen to the radio every day. I want you to study. I want you to read out loud, and I want you to make an effort. I want you to work hard, because if you don't work hard, you won't improve. No pain, no gain, right? Okay, I'm going to finish there. We will review this tomorrow, and we'll go all the way through to number 12. So if you are a subscribing student, then you have the books at home. So study the translation list number 12, and we'll practice it on the radio tomorrow. Okay, it'll also be reviewed today on the TV, right? Because we follow the material from Aprende Inglés television day by day, class by class. So you'll see this list reviewed on television today, and I'll review it again on the program tomorrow. So be sure to tune in. One more thing right before we go, I'd like to mention that I did discover, I was looking while I was talking. I was quietly looking here for the information about Bruce Springsteen, and he started, back in the 70s. His first record deal came in 1972, so the early 70s. So I thought he hadn't started until the early 80s, but I was wrong. Anyhow, I'm going to finish there. We're going to take a break, but I'll be back soon with the advanced class, and I'll be back for you, for more for you intermediate students tomorrow at the same time. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.